But first, as important as that sub announcement is, it won't be what determines whether the Albanese government gets re-elected or not. Now, in part, this is because the subs are decades away, and in part because the brave move to go nuclear was not taken by this government, by either coalition, this government's predecessor. Instead, how people's lives now are improved and how competent the government is, how honest it is, will be front of mind when Australians go to vote in around 2.5 years' time. It was said of the Rudd government that it hit the ground reviewing, and it now seems the same to be said of this government as well. Less than 12 months old, the Albanese government has already commissioned more than 140 reviews, consultation papers, roundtables, summits, inquiries, says analysis of the Australian newspaper Today. Some of these are important and they're justified, like the Defence Strategic Review, prompted by the massive growth of the Chinese military. Some of them relate to hangovers from the former government, like the Robo-Debt Royal Commission. A lot, though, are the sort of things that government should have thought through before the election, like the review into domestic gas security mechanism. And many, well, they're cover for telling institutions that they need to change their ways now that Labor's in charge, like the review into the Reserve Bank, like the review into shared parenting rules for the family court, like the botched review too into the dumping of the cashless welfare card in remote Indigenous communities. When the Morrison government had commissioned some 72 reviews, so about half of where the Albanese government is now, in their first 12 months in office, the then opposition leader claimed that the coalition were a do-nothing government with no plan for Australia. Normally, when a government orders a review, it's because it's genuinely undecided about what to do, or because it wants cover for what it's already decided and has then picked a panel to give it the answers it wants in a report. With the former coalition government, reviews were sometimes a way of kicking a difficult issue into the long grass, putting off tough decisions. With the current Labor government, though, it's the opposite. They use reviews to work out ways to insert more government control and more politically correct official supervision of our daily lives. Nearly always, these Albanese reviews are about softening us up for yet more broken promises, conditioning the bureaucracy to green left thinking and making the public think that big government change is part of the natural order of things. So much of this seemingly endless reviewing is performative rather than necessary, striking a pose, like that big jobs and skills summit that was little more than an expensive photo op. And all of this adds to the general disillusionment voters have with public life. Why can't we have political parties that know what they stand for and political leaders that say what they mean before an election and do exactly that after one? Occasionally a review really is beneficial, but only if it forces people to rethink what they're doing and to question old assumptions. Otherwise, it's mostly theatre or indecision. And in the case of the current government, muddling us towards a higher taxing, more energy insecure and politically correct future.